Hi, I'm Dr. Richard Visser, and in this podcast, I will take you on a journey through the wilderness of scientific research and experiential knowledge. Together, we will clear a path to optimizing health, well-being, and longevity. I am a former Minister of Health and Sports with a PhD in medical sciences, a published researcher in the fields of obesity, lifestyle medicine, and longevity. I started my career path over 3 decades ago as a doctor of chiropractic. I'm excited to share my methods, know-how, and experience with you. So please join me on the Visser Podcast. Welcome to episode number 16 of the Visser Podcast. Today, we're going to continue what we started with in these last 3 episodes, and that is discussing the thing that keeps us young, the thing that keeps us healthy. How do we trigger it? What's the pathway? And as you know, if we look at our timeline as humans on Earth, 99.9% of this time, we've been in struggle. We've been in, struggle with anything, find food, survive. We've been in survival mode for 99.9%. It's only in the last, time that we've gotten into this place of abundance in the West, of course. And so our bodies, our genetics are set up for this stress. So when we kind of use that, if we use that, we have to create, this fake stress or perceived biological adversity. And we call it adversity mimetics. And this is where we are able to do 3 things as far as we know now, 3 things that we've identified, which is upregulate mTOR, downregulate AMPK. So obviously you haven't had your coffee this morning and you went into recording. Okay, that can happen. So I'm gonna help you out here this time, all right? So mTOR is downregulated. AMPK is upregulated, all right? So let's just have the coffee before we record next time. Thank you. And activate the sirtuins 1 through 7, especially SIRT1 gene. And what we're doing when we do this, what we're doing is, 1, we're cleaning out our system. We are, fixing protein, getting rid of protein that, is not working anymore, damaged protein. We are slowing down our degradation of our epigenome, and we're actually also repairing our DNA. Key things for longevity and health span. So in continuing with this, okay, we've done it with VO2 max, where we stress the body into creating more mitochondria so we can do more work, so we can have a higher cardiovascular fitness. And we know, bar none, that is the most important thing you can do. Together with strength and muscle volume, so hypertrophy training, when you include those 2 together. So those 2, bar none, anything, no drug, no procedure, no vitamin, nothing comes close to what those do for our bodies, okay? In terms of lowering our all-cause mortality, there's nothing. Don't look any further, don't look anywhere, nothing. So if you're not doing those, whatever else you're doing, forget about it. Start with those. So further down the line, we get to nutrition. And we've discussed nutrition. And we've discussed how it needs to be personalized. And we've discussed that you have to look into doing a 24/7 glucose monitoring. Get a blood test to look at your hormones. You know, we need to make sure your thyroid's up to par, T3, T4, thyroid stimulating hormone is up to par. We need to make sure that your hormones, testosterone, estrogen, everything is up to par, free testosterone, so that you're not running uphill with this weight management issue and health. So we need to know, and then we need to get that squared away. Now we come to a couple of other interesting adverse mimetics where we trigger this. And that is the first one, cold therapy. Now, I'm going to go over it real quick because we have a chapter on cold therapy, previous episodes. So look back at the foundation work and you'll see a real detailed work on the pathways of cold therapy and why this works. Cold therapy is interesting because it basically, you know, if we look, we go back and we look at, okay, where do we control our internal temperature? What's the, you know, how can we control our internal temperature? And it's really only through our globular skin. That's the most effective way. And the globular skin is bottom of the hands, bottom of the feet, and cheeks. So it's not what we think. You know, we think, oh yeah, when I'm really hot, I need to cool down. I need to put a, you know, cold towel on my head. Or when I'm super hot, yeah. Or you know, I need to put it, you know, on my face. No. Feet, hands, bottom of the hands. And because this is where, you know, our vessels, the arteries and veins meet, and it's the place where we're able to influence our internal temperature more effectively and more deeply. So when we do cold submersion, we want to be completely submerged. Hands, feet, everything in, all the way to the neck. We want it extremely cold. We want to have someone to watch us because we don't want to like black out or anything. We want to make sure that we can handle it, but it needs to be at a level where it's super uncomfortable. The protocol there is 11 minutes a week, and so, you know, 3 minutes at a time, 3 times a week. So you can either do ice baths or you can do an ice bucket where you get into, you know, there's easy ways to make it. I did it in my pool because it was winter, as you can see. And it was damn cold, but amazing. And so what does this do? Well, I think first of all, we need to look at, you know, what, there's a gene that gets activated. PRDM16 gene gets activated in the brown fat. So this is where we're going to talk about how cold submersion influences our fat. It takes us from white fat to beige fat and brown fat. And beige fat and brown fat we want to have. We didn't have brown fat since we were babies. I mean, we have a little bit somewhere in our back, but it's mostly gone. It's all white fat. White fat is just bad fat, okay? It's just storage, doesn't do anything, it just creates problems. You know, if it becomes metabolically active, it's to give us gynecomastia and produce estrogen. So it's not a good fat to have at all. So what happens with beige and brown fat, the reason it's that color is because there's mitochondria in there. So it's actually metabolically active and it starts burning white fat. This is what you want, okay? So cold activates this. It activates the gene and it activates this. What else happens when we do this, you know, when we do this cold submersion? Well, a lot. Norepinephrine goes up, dopamine goes up, inflammation goes down. We have a feeling of, we get an overwhelming feeling of happiness because of this also. We get a feeling of like attacking the day, we get energy, and it's sustained. After we get out of the water, it's sustained. This happiness thing is sustained, okay? So the dopamine, sustained afterwards. There's very few things that can do that. When the mitochondria is burning white fat, what also happens is succinate is released from the muscles. And how this is released is, you know, when we get out of water, we're trembling, right? And that's how we release succinate. And succinate basically boosts our metabolism. It starts burning fat. So it's good when you get out of water, when you do your 3 minutes and you're like freezing cold, you get out, take a little time and let your body go into these, shakes, because that's the succinate release, and it's good. So cold therapy is phenomenal. And we're also going to talk about cold therapy about, when it comes to stress in this episode later. I'll come back to it because we're going to talk about how this influences stress. So cold therapy has some amazing powers that we need to, that ancient cultures have used. The Asians, Chinese, the Turkish people have used it. The Norwegians, the Vikings, they all used cold and its power. So we've kind of rediscovered this and seen also in the science what it can do. So this is great. The second one that I want to go through is the opposite. Heat, sauna, steam baths, like real hot. What's the protocol? What's real hot? Real hot is between 80 and 100 degrees Celsius, which is 176 degrees Fahrenheit to 200. You need to keep it in that range. And really the protocol here is to do this like an hour, about a week. So 20 minutes at a time, 15, 20 minutes at a time. And what we've seen with the sauna is that your risk of cardiovascular disease goes down, believe it or not, with sauna. Your risk of stroke goes down in the sauna. Those are the two biggest killers, right there. They belong to the to the gang of the biggest killers. So, is sauna good for you? Absolutely. It's kind of like a cardiovascular exercise when you're in there. Your heart gets beating, you get going. We underestimate a lot of times the simple things. And this is one of these simple things that you think, how could this have so many benefits? It does have the benefits. We have, the heat shock proteins that get released and activated, and it affects us at a molecular level. So all this, and go back to the chapter on sauna and heat, can be of great benefit for our well-being, our longevity, and our health span. So heat is another one that we need to look to. Did I forget anything? Yes, the FOXO3 upregulated, clearing senescent cells. Big. We don't want to have senescent cells in our bodies. We want to clear those. Those are toxic. All right, so it's clearing all the toxic cells. Increase of GH, yes. So one of the things that's also benefit in sauna, but this has a caveat to it, is that it can increase your growth hormone, natural growth hormone release in your body, which is good. As we age, it's very good. So, but the problem is if you're doing the sauna for cardiovascular, to decrease your cardiovascular risk, health risk, then you're doing this, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, you get used to it. So only the first time that you do it, we see a GH peak in there. And it's a small peak, but it's a peak. And so what we've noticed is that GH gets released with shock. So we need to shock the body. And really when we're getting used to, going into heat, the body gets used to it and it's not perceived as a shock anymore. So if you're doing it for increased GH, you have to do it like once a week or less to shock the body. And that's all you're doing, and to release the GH. So that's the heat. Very interesting, something we need to use daily. And as you can see, I'm doing it. Okay, so the next ones that we're looking at, stress and anxiety. I think these are, they're considered, we need to control them. We need to pulse them like anything, like our diet we're pulsing, like exercise we're pulsing. If you exercise 24 hours a day, it's going to break you down. If you overfeed, it's going to break you down. All these things, so it needs to be pulsed, and we need to know, okay, what's the best formula here? And it's the same with stress and anxiety. So with stress, we're looking at 3 types of stress, okay? We're looking short term, middle term, long term. The body doesn't know the difference between the stresses, It's the same stress for the body. So the body registers it as stress, period. Doesn't differentiate where it's coming from. Is it coming from a bacterial infection? Is it coming from a viral infection? Is it coming from your mother-in-law? Is it coming from your job? Same difference. Doesn't matter to the body. Reaction, same. Okay, so what can we do? Well, first, we have to look at the categories. Let's start with short-term stressors. Short-term stress is when we're in a position of fight and flight, okay? So we are on a stage having to talk to 1,000 people, or we're getting attacked. All right, what happens? Well, our body has this mechanism of fight and flight genetically. This is from the past, again, from our whole history of living in diversity. 99.9% of our lifespan has been in diversity. So we're geared and genetically to respond in a certain way, our complete organism. So the way your body responds with this short-term stress, is that it will vasoconstrict everything, meaning limit blood flow anywhere where it's not needed, including your brain, salivary glands, you name it, everywhere. The only place where there's vasodilation is around the heart and the legs. So your heart can go bonkers and you can run, fight or flight. The problem is, this is why we get paralyzed. We can't think straight anymore. We lose our memory and we start stuttering, etc., etc. Or we don't react, we just freeze. So what's the hack? How do we study this pathway and be able to hack it? Well, this is how we do it. So our purpose here is to get the heart back to a normal heart rate, right? We got the endorphins flowing through our body, that'll stay. You can't control that at that point. This is immediate control. And so what we do is the psychological sigh, which is 2 short inhales through the nose and a long exhale through the mouth. And you do this for 30 seconds to a minute. What happens is you limit the real estate around the heart, creating more pressure. That signal gets sent to the brain. The brain says, okay, lower the heart rate lowers, vasoconstriction stops. To a certain extent, you get blood flow back to your brains. You're back in control. You can talk, you can move, you know what you're doing. Okay, so use this. It works immediately, real time. Use the psychological side. Okay, medium-term stress. Okay, with the medium-term stress, we are looking at weeks, months, projects, issues at home, stuff that will resolve in time. But while they're there and while you're on a deadline, you've got stress, all right? And this is real life stress. And so this is where cold immersion comes back. And the reason is because when you do cold immersion, it is like this stress. But what you're doing is you're training your whole being, your whole system, all your cells in your body, and especially your nervous system, to be able to handle a higher level of stress by doing cold submersion without the negative effects of stress. So when you do cold submersion and you're able to work within the cold submersion, so you're submerged, everything's on there, you're super cold, you can basically change your gaze, start controlling your breathing, go through it. And what happens then is that in real life, you're able to handle much more stress. So you'll go back, after you do this training, you'll go back to your normal stress and it'll seem like, all right, it's a cakewalk, I can do this, no problem. So it helps with the medium-term stress. It trains us to basically handle way more stress than we're handling. And that's why, military forces use this, special forces uses this training, because it works. Okay, so then we have the long-term stress. The long-term stress, that's dangerous, okay? And for the long-term stress, we need to go back to the foundation. And what do I mean with that? We need to get to the gym. We need to get to our cardio. We need to check our feeding, how we eat. We need to check how we sleep. And sleep will come. Sleep is a huge one. So we need to go back to the foundation work and see, okay, where are we messing up? Okay, we need to get that straight. If you're really having problems with it and you can't get it straight to the foundation work, seek professional help. Okay, we all need coaching in life for everything, also for brain health. So get the coaching. And that's for the long term. That's what I'll say there. So you need to do work there. The other thing is that when we feel a bacterial infection or a virus coming on, one of the things that we need to do is reverse what we talked about in the short term stress. So the psychological sigh, which basically puts us back in control. We need to reverse this, because what we want to do is, let's put it this way, when stress hits our body, we also get ready to fight, because it could be a bacterial or a viral infection. So we get release of T cells, the immune system gets activated, and it's looking to go to war, right, with foreign invaders. So when we're starting to feel sick, it would be a good idea to basically ring the bell with our immune system and say, hey, listen, T cells and everyone, let's go to war. We've got invaders, right? How do we do this? Well, we do this through Wim Hof breathing, or Tumo breathing. That's what they call it. Huberman Lab did a lot of research back in Stanford on Wim Hof, and I think that's where they coined the Wim Hof breathing, or before that Wim Hof had it already. And basically it activates your immune system, gets your T cells going, because it could be that your immune system is a little bit lazy, and this is the wake-up call. So it's a great thing to use. And it's really deep in and out breathing with your stomach and your rib cage. I mean, it's like boom, boom. And they have tutorials on this, how to do this. It's a great hack to do when okay, I'm getting under the weather. I need my immune system to get cracking. Okay, so that's your stress and anxiety. Last and absolutely not least, sleep. Now, sleep doesn't belong in the adversity mimetics. Why? Because sleep is basically all repair. Okay? Sleep is that other side of the pulse, and which is we need sleep like we need to breathe. We need quality sleep, and we need quantity sleep. And as we age, this gets more difficult to achieve. In modern society, everything is here to basically not make us sleep, to hijack our sleep. From our telephone to our TV, to lighting in the house, to everything. Coffee, alcohol, it's all there to jack our sleep. So what do we got to do? What do you got to do? Well, let's look at, what we always do. Let's look at how this sleep thing works. First of all, we got to know there's something that's called the circadian rhythm. We're in it. It's basically the clock, and it's indicated by the sun coming up, sun going down, and our body reacts to it. It's the light that gets into our eyes, and it's the type of light that gets into our eyes. Yes, our eyes are the only part of our brain that are external. Yep, believe it or not. So, are they important? Absolutely. Does light affect them? Completely. So the way we work with light is a big indication of how good our sleep's going to be and how good our waking state's going to be. So a couple of things we need to know about light. When we wake up in the morning, I want you to go outside, not through glass, not through sunglasses or just windows. No, outside, no window between you and the sunlight, and get it in your face, get it on your body. 30 minutes. It gets your clock centered. It gets your clock, basically your circadian clock calibrated for the day. Okay, then if you can, do the same with sunset. If you can, if you get, this is what we want to do. We want to be able to trigger our bodies and kind of tell it, hey, we're getting ready to go to bed, we're waking up. The other thing I want you to do is at night minimize light exposure, especially artificial light from your telephone, computers. Watch out with TV. Light from above, meaning your all your spotlights, dim them, get them out. I want light from the bottom because it's also the way the light enters the eye that triggers us. When the light is 12 o'clock, noon, it's coming straight down. And we don't want your house to basically trigger it's 12 noon, right? Or in that direction, start waking you up. So we want to get you ready for sleep. So dim the top lights at that point. We have a complete cascade of stuff happening in sleep. First off, we need to know that our sleep time is a 90-minute cycle that repeats itself from when we fall asleep till at night. We're in between REM sleep and then non-REM 1 through 4 sleep. Okay? And that's your deep sleep. And we go over all this in the sleep chapter. So go back to the foundation work if you need to review that and go deeper into it. So we need to work with that. And that's, in between the 90 minutes is where we sometimes can wake up and go to pee, or we're kind of like floating. We're not really there. I wear an Oura ring because I really want to monitor my sleep. And Oura ring does a fabulous job in monitoring your sleep. It's not as good as Apple and Gremlin when it comes to like fitness and stuff. But I know my fitness, man. When I'm doing my fitness, I know if I did it right or wrong, and if I'm doing it good. So I'm not too concerned about that. But this really does a good analysis on your sleep, heart rate, and it gives you steps and stuff also. So this is one because I think it's very important. And so I really wanted to monitor and kind of hone in on how good I'm sleeping. It tells me if I'm ready for the day, if I'm not, if I slept bad, if I need a nap. It gives you ideas of what you can do to improve your sleep. One of the things that happens is that when we get ready to sleep, the pineal gland has to release melatonin. And the brainstem pons will regulate our thinking and downturn that. So we want to kind of, get our brain to kind of like stop communicating. GABA goes up, communication goes down. We have serotonin going down, dopamine going down, acetylcholine is going down, absolutely. And so this is what gets us ready to sleep. And so we need to let that cascade happen. Some of the things that I think we can do and we talked about to improve our sleep: no light in the room where you're sleeping. It needs to be dark. It needs to be very dark. I mean, red light, they say, and I think it's blue, and gonna get back to the chapter, is okay a little bit, but no lights. Keep it as pitch black as possible. No stimulation. In the bathroom, very light lighting if you need to go to the bathroom so you don't wake yourself up. No alcohol and caffeine before you go to bed. Oh yeah, temperature. Regularity is king, and make sure that, because when we sleep we have to drop a degree in temperature just before we go to bed. We drop that, and then as we wake up that degree comes back up in temperature. So we have to be able to put our foot or hand out, globule skin, to be able to decrease the temperature if we're getting too warm under the bed, because that will disturb our sleep also. So these are some tricks. What are the supplements that we can take? Well, there's magnesium threonate. I would do, the suggested is 145 milligrams. We got thiamine between 200 and 400 milligrams. Epigenin, 50 milligrams a half an hour before bed. I think also the nice thing, I don't recommend melatonin. It has too many side effects. I think deep rest script and self-hypnosis script are also very helpful. And you can get these online. There's a lot of them. And I think in the future I'll bring a couple. So this really concludes, and in a nutshell, in these 3 episodes, we'll really do a quick review just for you to be able to go back and see, okay, what am I missing? What am I not doing? You know, we have to keep this fun. We have to keep it interesting. We have to keep it fun. Also with your exercise, do stuff that's fun. You know, that 1 to twice a week when you have to like do hits or whatever. If you like the tennis, go tennis, do that. If you like the mountain bike, go mountain bike. Listen, I do barefoot water skiing. I do, you know, surfing. I'll do, you know, hydrofoil, you know, snowboard in the winter, whatever. I look for fun stuff to do and go full out. Also cycle. So I like that. I like to have diversity. I like to keep it, we need to keep it fun. We need to keep everything fun. We need to keep it interesting. It's not about having a boring life. It's about having a full life, living it fully. And, you know, having a very strong social group, you know, working on your family connection, which we all have to do. And because this makes us happy. This helps us with our happiness. So we have to do this and incorporate this work so that we know our foundation is solid. So thank you for joining me. Subscribe, ring the bell notification, and let's continue this journey. It's going to get real interesting. So stay with me. I'm excited about your journey. I love my journey, but I'm excited to be part of yours. And if I can help you, that's what I'm here for. I want to help. And we're going to see how we can do that even more in the future. Thank you. Please join. And see you on the next episode. Bye.